You're listening to Head Voice, bringing you inside the minds of singers and sound creators who are redefining what it means to make music with the voice. I'm Evan.
And I'm Kayla. And this week we have Lynique Webster on. Lynique is a vocalist from Maryland who studied music at the University of Maryland and was in Faux Paz. During this episode, we talked about her early years in music, her time in Faux Paz, and experience competing with the group, and her passion for educating other musicians.
Lynique is an award-winning soloist, and you can see her work on YouTube in Faux Paz's recorded material, which will all be listed in the show notes. We are on episode 48 right now, which means it's 2 episodes away from episode 50 with the giveaway of a personal sketch for you by Kayla and some stickers, and maybe we'll throw something else in there too. In any case, all you have to do is leave us a review on iTunes and a rating, and you'll be automatically entered to win, and we will draw that winner in our 50th episode. And without further ado, this week's episode with the wonderful Lynique Webster.
Hello, everyone. We have Lynique Webster on Head Voice today. Hi, Lynique.
Hi, guys.
Hello. We're going to start off your episode on Head Voice today, which is kind of going back to the beginning. And if you wouldn't mind just kind of giving us a background on where you're from and where you grew up.
Okay. Well, you heard my name. Don't wear it out. I am Lynique, and I was born and raised in Gaithersburg, Maryland, the burg itself. I was born in Silver Spring, but it's kind of irrelevant now. But I was born and raised in Gaithersburg, Maryland. Lived my life here, as far as I know. 24, going on 25. Still living here, chilling out like
Young,
a villain.
killing it.
You know.
So it seems from everything that we can tell that music was just a kind of natural thing that happened. When were you consciously aware that that was something that was going on?
Well, my mom used to tell me that I could sing before I could talk. She said it was just kind of something she picked up on. My parents are not musically inclined in the least. Mm-hmm. That's funny and all. Because, how did I come out and could sing? But we can't worry about all that. So my mom said before I could do lots of things, I was always making weird little noises with my mouth and, bringing my little vocal folds together, not knowing what that actually was. And I grew up in church. I was there before I was born. And Mom said that when she was pregnant with me, she would go to my church, that when the choir would start singing, I would start doing little weird things in her belly, and she's like, oh, it's awkward. But then when I came out and could sing, she was like, oh, maybe she must have been musically inclined. So I was like, all right,
that makes sense.
That's nice. So I guess I kind of knew from when I was very young. It's just something that I knew I could do. And my parents were like, she's actually gifted in this. Let's make it a thing.
That's so awesome. I feel like that's rare to have your parents fully support that immediately when you're born and that young and recognizing that. So that's really cool.
Very awesome.
When you were in elementary school, middle school, did it kind of blossom? Did you do different musical activities and that sort of thing?
Yeah. So when I was in elementary school, well, let's go back. When I turned 5, I could finally join the choir at my church. I could join the little youth choir. And so I thought it was real cute. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm finally 5. I can wear my little blue and white, my little socks with the weird lace on them, and my blue skirt. It was a whole thing. So I kind of started there. And then when I believe it might have been first grade or second grade, one of my music teachers, her name was Miss Kathy Gomez. I won't ever forget her. And she's still a big part of my life. Amazing. Mm-hmm. She was like, no, this girl can really sing. And I was like, all right. So
if you say so.
She had never done a musical before, as far as I know, at my elementary school where I went. And so she said, let's do a musical. And I was like, okay. So my first musical was Rumpelstiltskin, and she wrote my little parts on a cassette tape, and that's where I learned my music. I learned everything by rote at that time. And I went from there and did another musical. I did Hansel and Gretel, and my little music teacher was like... I
didn't know either of those were musicals.
They're not. They're not. They're really not musicals.
Okay.
She literally made it up. So she I don't know if she created this thing but whatever it was, I had lines, I had things that I needed to do, I had songs that I needed to sing. I really think she took it upon herself and said, I'm going to do this. And I was like, okay, like, I'm gullible. I'm in first grade. I have no idea. But I'm going to stand up here with my little puffball, and I'm going to give this all I have.
How old were you at this point?
I had to have been probably in first grade. What are you, like, maybe 7? Because you go to school when you're like 5, roughly.
Yeah. That sounds
so
right.
I must have been like 7. So that's my first musical. And from there, when I could join the chorus in elementary school, I joined. So that was in 5th grade. And then I was in chorus in middle school, did honors chorus, went to high school and did a bunch of that stuff. So that's how I was supplemented in the public school system. And my mom had me in piano lessons by the time I was 7. And I was in voice lessons by the time I was 10.
Yeah, so when you were 15, you started leading your church group? Is that right?
Yes. I sang, so there was this, in this modern day church culture, you have a choir and you have a little praise and worship team. And so I was a part of the youth version of a praise and worship team. And I joined that when I turned 13. And then I started actually... I guess from when I was young, I was learning everything by rote, so my ear got really good. And so I could listen to music and break down the parts. And when you're singing in church, typically you only sing things in 3-part harmony, or sometimes it's 4, but if you want to get fancy, you'll add like cute little dissonances and, But, so I was able to break parts down. And so I would listen to music and then know how to teach it. And so that's when I realized, I said, oh, I can do this. I can teach music, I can sing, so I can make a career out of that. So by the time I was 15, I was like, I think I want to do music education. And that's how that was born.
That's pretty cool. Knowing that, I feel like 15 is very young to know that. And so then were you like, okay, this is what I'm doing in college. Like, I know that's going to happen.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. My parents were, they're like, this little girl is singing everywhere she goes. Like, it's annoying, but also like really cool. And so I said, my dream school is the University of Maryland, College Park. That's where I want to go. And I want to study music education. And they supported me every step of the way. I had looked into a couple of out-of-state schools, but I was mostly looking to stay in Maryland just because I knew it was cheaper. Hey, gotta save the bucks. Yeah.
So did you, like, because you had been, you were leading your group, but you were, mainly a performer, what is it about the education part that spoke to you as something that you would want to do?
For me, it was having such impactful teachers so early on. I have 3 music teachers that I remember. Well, not just 3, but all of my music teachers made an impact on me, whether it was good or bad. Right. I've had so many amazing experiences with, so many awesome educators. And so for me, it was, I remember how I felt being the student in that place. And so knowing that I could impact another life like that and invigorate a love for music for somebody else, for the next generation. Like I got on this huge life tangent the other day. And I was just thinking, like, to impact someone so your legacy moves on beyond yourself is super important to me. So that's when I knew. I said, oh yeah, I have to do this. Even when I can't sing anymore. That's when I really was like, yeah, I have to do this. It's an awesome way for someone to be able to describe you and to characterize you as being someone who inspired their love for finding their purpose. It's amazing. Don't let me start crying, guys. Come on.
We're 5 minutes in and the tears are already flowing.
They're coming already. No, I'm kidding.
But so I took one class of music education for like a second, and part of why I didn't do it was because I was like, I don't have a primary instrument. Did you like go in with voice or piano as like your primary thing? Did they have you choose one?
Yeah, so when I like I said, I started taking piano lessons when I was like 7, and I hated practicing. So I did not get very good at it. Like, I can do my little scales and like play some chords. I am not in accompaniment ministry. That's not for me, but I knew that I could sing. So my mom was like, okay, well, I'd love it if you could like accompany yourself. That'd be awesome. and I'm still mad at you for wasting my money in terms of piano. But I mean, for knowing how to play the piano is great, because when I'm learning music, I learned how to read music by the time I was like 10, probably a little younger than that. So when I learned how to actually read, knowing the piano was huge. But for me, you have to go in knowing your strong suit. And by the time I was 13, I was like, oh yeah, these vocal folds are it for me. So that's when I was like, I'm going to go in and learn this. And my voice teacher said, yep, this will be da for you. And that was it.
Mm-hmm. So on that too, because I know you said you sang a lot in church, and then you also had a music teacher who kind of led you in terms of like vocalization and all of that. But like, where else were there like certain people that you looked up to that inspired yourself as a performer and a vocalist in that way?
So even though my mom like could not sing to save her life, my mom was so impactful to me. She taught me almost everything I know about performing. And that's simply because she said, first of all, do what you love, find what you love, and do it for the rest of your life, one. But also do it to the best of your ability. And so that phrase is one of my mantras. If I can do something better, I'm going to do it. If I can make myself better in any way, I'm going to do it. Why? Because I'm not singing this music just for me. It's for someone else to hear and be impacted. And so I learned that lesson quite early. And Mom was always saying, beyond performing, you want to be humble. That's a big thing. I mean, it's awesome to know that you're incredible, and it's awesome to know that you're gifted, but it's also awesome to know that you didn't get this gift by yourself. And so, you have the tools to make yourself better and make things better than they were the day before, but you remember where you got the gift from. And so my mom was one of the best teachers, one of the best life teachers. And that's what I tell some of my students even now. It's that, this thing that we're learning about is not just music, it's about life. And when you learn that, we're singing this and it's got to be great, but as long as you know that you have to impact people first, you could sing all the wrong notes and still make somebody cry. It's happened. It's happened for me.
That's super true. I feel like as we've been doing this podcast and just venturing out and learning about different forms of music, especially music that's sung, I think I'm personally learning more and more the impact of the way, like, not obviously everybody is at a different place in their spirituality and religion or whatever, but the idea that there's a purpose to what you're singing beyond like just being cool and like being able to like do a riff or whatever, like that there's an intention going into that, I feel like it's such a big thing that I've been noticing, and like it's obviously super eminently true for you and your experience,
super true.
Yeah.
I mean, if you wanted to know, like, performers,
that's a whole other thing.
If you wanted to know performers, I'm a big fan of Whitney Houston, even though she was a crackhead. I love her to death. But her vocals were incredible. Vocalists like Ella Fitzgerald and Sarah Vaughan and Nat King Cole. Hearing people like Frank Sinatra, my man's Frank, like such a crooner. I love all types of music, and so I'm not one of those people that like can really funnel into one particular thing. There's so many different genres that impact the way I sing now. So I just realized that I love people like Beyonce, but I also love people like Gaga. I love Esperanza Spalding. I love Jasmine Sullivan. I love Little Big Town. Like, they crank. Keith Urban cranks. Like, there's so many different genres of music that impact one voice, and the more you hear, the more you're exposed to, and the more you're like, oh, I like how he did that, and then you can apply it to a solo that you're singing or a part that you're singing in the background. Singing is amazing. Music is amazing. People who discredit the voice as an instrument are all whack. Let's all hit them.
I agree with that.
That's our new tagline.
That's it.
We'll put it on our stickers.
I need one for my car.
I'm curious though, were you ever at any point in your life where you're like, I need to figure out like what I want my voice to be and like how I want it sound or anything like that?
Well, my voice teachers, a couple of my voice teachers, I've had 2 private voice teachers. And the first one is Dorothy Dash, and I love her to death. And the next one is Carmen Balthrop. And they both taught me the same thing in a nutshell. And that is, your voice is going to mature over time, but you never want to, for me, I never want to put myself in a box.
Right.
So I know what the tone of my voice is. I can't change that physically, obviously. Like that, I didn't design my vocal folds. Like, I don't know what went into all that. So I can't necessarily change the tone of my voice, but I can mess with the timbre. I can do things that can make me sound more squeaky, or I do things that make me sound a little more full. Like there are lots of different things that I can do to adjust what people hear of my voice. And people say this all the time, like, oh yeah, Nick sang this and I knew it was her. I'm like, that's tight. Like, that's awesome to be distinct, but I also want to be versatile.
Yeah.
And so I never want to put myself in a box, but of course I know what my voice is, and I know, there are certain things that I just need to holler, and there's certain things that I just need to be more subdued. And so I really think that knowing, one, coming from a church background and then being taught the lessons of, is it Bella Voce? I think that's it. Where like the art of Italian singing, I think that's what it's called. But being taught the fundamentals of just bel canto, that's what it is. Come on, Nick. The bel canto style really allowed me to learn how to sing properly while also applying the things that I learned at church. So I really enjoyed having those two educations, having them in tandem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Having them happen simultaneously.
Yeah. So, like, speaking of the classical and contemporary kind of things coming together, faux pas was a thing that happened.
Faux pas is a thing.
Yeah. So,
a big thing.
So how did you get involved in that?
Okay, so this is a story. You ready? Prepare yourself.
Listening ears. This is your platform to tell.
Story time. So when I was a freshman in 2011, right? I'm getting old. While I was a freshman, I was like, oh, what's like fun stuff that I can do on campus? Because I'm a music major and this is nice. So I looked around and there were these auditions for a cappella, and I was like in C-SPAC. That's where all music things and all things performing arts are housed. And so I was there with a friend of mine. Well, I didn't know him then, but he became one of my best friends, Michael Brizantine. And I was just there watching an old DVD of Beyonce because I love her, Queen Bee forever. And he was like, hey, have you thought about a cappella? And I was like, no, like, I mean, I know that it's a style, but haven't really thought much into it. Anyway, he was like, well, the auditions are tonight. Do you want to go? I was like, okay. So I auditioned and didn't get in.
What?
Funny story. I did not get in the first time I tried.
Wow.
And so I was like, okay. And that was the first time I was like, well, at home, at church, I am the leader of this group. I do all this teaching. At school, in high school, I was involved in everything musical. So it'll be cool to kind of step back from that and be like the biggest fan for once in my life. So I was like, I made it my mission to be Faux Paz's biggest fan. And there are lots of a cappella groups at the University of Maryland, College Park. But when I heard this one song at auditions from Faux Paz, it was Cosmic Love. And I was so blown away at the level of emotion. Like, I felt something immediately. And that was I said, when I heard that, I said, that's the group I want to audition for. Ended up not getting in. And then was like, I'm going to be their biggest fan. Doesn't even matter that I didn't get in. So what happened was, I think I heard down the line that people, like, they might have thought I was cocky. And so that's why I didn't get in. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but the reason why I say this, let me say this now. God rest my mother's soul. My mom told me that I opened my mouth way too quickly. So I needed to just shut up and not say anything, not say a whole lot, just like be observant and be a little more quiet. So I was a little more subdued. I went in, opened my mouth, sang this little Beyonce song, and then they were like, oh, you can really sing, da 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 da. And then I was like, okay, thanks. And that was it. So they couldn't see all of my personality at the time. So that's probably why I didn't get in. But after time went on, when they were like, dang, like she can really sing, and we like might have missed out, I was like, yeah, man, I'm just gonna be y'all's biggest fan. We're all gonna be cool. So I made really good friends my freshman year. Fast forward to my junior year, like 3 people quit. And at this point, my best friend Michael is the music director.
Yeah.
So my best friend says, hey, I was living with him at the time. He says, hey, best friend, do you think you'll audition for Faux Paz? And I said, what? Are you lying? Is this a joke? And he said, no. I'm like, I'm dead serious. And I was like, no, you're kidding. I was like, no, you're joshing me, right? Like, ha ha ha. No, he was serious. And so I said, oh, I mean, okay. Like, my first thought was, well, first it's a joke. My second thought was, I think I need to talk to my mom, because at the time my mom was kind of, I guess what, it must have been like 2013 or something. And her sickness had really started to progress, and we were doing more surgeries. So then I was saying, I don't want to ever be somewhere and can't get to where my mom is. So let me talk to my mom, see what's up, and then I'll see if I want to actually audition and join this thing. And so I talked to my mother. I said, Mom, Michael asked me if I wanted to audition for Faux. And I'm nervous because, you know, I don't want for something to happen in your surgery and I not be able to get home. Like, if I'm somewhere and I can't drive back home, I'll be really upset if something were to go downhill. And so my mom's response to me was, Lynique, you can't base your life decisions on my life because you're not living my life. And I was like, oh, mind blown. big realization there. She said, you still have life to live. And I'm not saying I'm going to die, but what I am saying is this might be an opportunity for you. And if you don't take it, you might regret it. So you have to live free. You got to live free of the expectations of your mother, of your father. You have to live free of the expectations of anybody else. You have to do these things. You need to pray about it, one, but then you need to make this decision for you. It's not about if you can get to me. It's about you making this decision, you making the smartest decision for you. Yeah, it would hurt if you're not there, something were to happen, but this is about you and what you need to do to further yourself musically, to further yourself emotionally and physically as a college student, as all of these things. So of course I'm sitting there crying, busted up, and I went back to school the next day and told Michael I'd do it. And so I auditioned and got in, and Lynique and Faux Paz, that started in 2013, 2014, something like that.
That is crazy story.
Yes, a story.
Never
a little long. I'm
that.
a little long-winded, guys.
No. Well, I was like completely zoned into it. So, that's really awesome, though. What an inspiring story. Was very glad to hear that.
Same.
So you clearly did really well with Faux Pas. You've won like multiple awards for best solo on multiple different things. I guess just taking a step back, what was it like being in the group on the onset and just joining and like being in that new environment where you were singing with other people and creating music?
Yeah. So first things first, I think for me, it was a really humbling experience. Just because I wasn't the only talented one in the room. And I was always made aware of that anyway. Like my mom said, you got to stay humble no matter where you are. And so understand that, yeah, you're talented, but other people are talented as well. And so, you know, this isn't just about your light. This is about making sure that the light shines on everybody. And so when I first joined, I was like, dang, there's so many talented people here. Like, this is amazing. And I had sung in a room with talented people before, but because a cappella is so incredibly intimate, and I think people miss that. Oftentimes they're like, oh, yeah, you're just in a room singing with people. No. Like, you're in a room with hot breath, like you're in a room sweating, you're in a room. There's so much that's happening physically and emotionally. And all of those things have to be happening on one accord. Like everyone has to be in sync in order for a cappella to be sung well. And so my first experiences with Faux were so incredible. They were eye-opening. Were we making the best music that we could? Like, probably not. Looking back on some of our albums, looking back on some of our performances, I was like, dang, we sucked. But remembering the rehearsals and remembering the team building and the family that was created, I joined a family. And so it wasn't just, we're out here singing music. Like, no, we're out here making music with our voices. And that's incredible. So that was my first experience with Faux. And when I first got in, my first semester, I didn't sing any solo. I'm lying. One of the people who quit, I auditioned and got her solo, but I didn't sing that on any ICCA stage. I didn't sing my first ICCA solo until 2015. So, like, I was like, this is tight. I'm doing ICCA, and we don't have no handheld mics. Like, we were standing with the body mics, like the joints that were stood in the middle, and everybody had to like. That's the stuff I sung on in the beginning, and so. Those were my first experiences. I had never known. I had gone to an ICCA quarterfinal before, but I had never been a part of it. I'd never been on the stage, and so it was a completely different view. My whole vantage point had changed. So just like learning new ins and outs. Like, I didn't realize there was a whole a cappella community. I didn't realize how much I was missing out on. I was like, dang, like, this is real life. People really are excited about this stuff. Like, another thing, I didn't know what a car was until I was nominated for one. I said, what is this? Like, all right, that's tight. I didn't know what it was until right now.
I'll take it, though.
I mean, yeah, like, that's cool. But for real, I didn't realize that some of these things existed until I actually joined the group. And so this by far was one of the best decisions I've ever made. I will never regret joining Faux Paz in a day in my life. Just because of the musical experiences, but not just that, the friends, the family that was built. Like I said, a cappella is so incredibly intimate, regardless of if you have a group of 17 or a group of 9. There is an intimacy. There are relationships that you build, and it's amazing to not just have that, but to have that impact your music. There's nothing like a cappella.
Totally.
Yeah.
So I feel from the outside looking in, a very seminal year for you and the group was 2016, doing obviously going to finals and also having the Sing It On thing happening at the same time. And so from all that I've heard about that show and the producers of that show, it's now not a thing, so I feel I okay to openly say this, but like it's reality TV, so it tests your relationship, it tests your, I suppose, like, integrity and honesty in different ways. What was that kind of experience like for you?
Well, that's another interesting story. Because like I haven't technically graduated from college yet. When my mom passed away, my sister was a senior in high school, so I found it important to just kind of dial back the amount of credits that I was taking so I could be home and more involved in her process. So I had technically graduated out of Faux. But we had another instance where someone had to make an informed decision to keep their lives and their emotions healthy. And so with that happening in it happened in 2015, the group was like, Nick, is there any possible way? I was a fifth year senior at the time, so it wasn't like out of the rule book or anything. I was still a student and could still actually sing with them. So they said, Nick, will you do this? And my mom had literally, like, maybe months before passed away. And so I was like, I think I should think about this. Like, I don't want to overwhelm myself. But I was like, what the heck? I'll do it. So I did it. And then they said, hey, by the way, we're doing Sing It On. I said, you mean that show that we were like featured on last time but weren't really on it because we weren't actually featured, and it was kind of, I mean, it was a thing, but not really. And they were like, yeah, that's the one. And so I said, okay. I think doing the show for me didn't change anything because I was still going to be me. I learned who I was when I was a teenager. I said, there's no reason for me to change. I'm not going to change because you got cameras in my face. I'm not going to change because you got a mic on my back. I'm a be Lynique. So my integrity was never, ever compromised. My honesty, my blunt attitude, my speak the truth no matter how you feel is not going to shift. there was something like, obviously, like I couldn't wear like shirts with logos on it and stuff, but other than that, like my everyday wasn't shifted. It was just in rehearsal. Sometimes we had cameras. But I think that for Faux Paz, we really didn't want to get into. We haven't had a whole bunch of like backbiting or malice or drama. Like, for ICCA season, we're putting in work. Yeah. So you're gonna see us in rehearsal. You're gonna see us out here sweating. Like, I don't know what you want. Like, there were other things where they're like, yeah, let's go take you out to dinner. And I was like, y'all paying? Like, that's why I'll go. Like, y'all finna pay or like what's good? So that was why I was going out and eating and stuff like that. But other than that, when it was group time, we were about our business. So, I mean, there were other people on the show, and I know them personally, and so I know that some of that stuff, you know, for reality TV, they have to magnify it. They have to make it seem bigger or larger than it was. And so I realized that, but in terms of my story and the things that were highlighted about me, there was nothing fabricated. There was nothing that was like, you know, it was true that they asked me back, and I said yes, and that was that.
Yeah. I feel like I watched both seasons, and I feel like you're like obviously there's no disrespect to any of the groups that had to do whatever things that they didn't feel comfortable with, but I really like got a sense that, you know, you and the group as a whole kind of, you're just like, we're gonna do our thing and you're not gonna like get in the way of that, and that really came across like on the show.
We were trying to win, we didn't, but we were, the whole point was we had a really unfortunate 2015 ICCA Finals experience. So the goal for us was, well, that's a story too, like but you know, we ended up advancing from quarterfinals, and that was great. Our set was like one of the first times we had ever just kind of chosen things for the strongest soloists in the group, and that made a big difference. Things were arranged beforehand. We were able to come through during FWIS and learn all of this music and then make it musical over time. So our quarterfinal experience was awesome. Our semifinal experience was also like, we were like, dang, we probably just like shat on stage just now. But we ended up winning that. And I was like, oh, all right, like, cool. I guess I was like, wait a second. Oh, we're going to finals. So then we got to finals, and when we got to finals, the show was a big part of that. Sing It On just kind of took over some things that, I mean, I don't think it wasn't to the point of playing favoritism, but they knew that they had certain things that they had to showcase, and so I didn't understand that stuff until we were on the show. Nothing was like nothing was falsified in like the scoring or anything like that. Like no one received any like special anything just because they were on the show. But certain things needed to be in order for that to be highlighted. And how awesome is it to have that highlighted one? But we ended up drawing first 2015 season for finals, and like everyone was like, oh god, that's cursed. Like, no, it's not really cursed, but whatever. But I guess we thought we were gonna have a liaison who was gonna come say, hey, the opening group is done, so it's your turn to like be up in the rafters, grab your mics and all that. Another thing, that was the first time we ever sang with all handheld mics. So that was like, oh, like you can hear everything. And so that was just, we had people who were in the bathroom when it was time for us to go on stage. Like, it was very chaotic. And so we were like, and we got on stage and we basically shat out my opening song. Like, I was like, okay, but the group was like singing in like 5 keys. It was a lot of chaos happening. So by the time we were like, we're gonna do ICCA 2016, well, by the time they were like, we're gonna do ICCA, I was like, oh, we in this to win. If we're gonna get to finals, we're trying to get the cup. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care who's in the way. Get out of my way. So that was the point.
So I feel I would feel remiss to not talk about Dog Days a little bit. Like I watched the show. I have listened to the recording. I've watched the live thing that you did of the set, and like, and I'm sure this is old news for you, but like it's I think like one of the, if not like the quintessential like collegiate a cappella, so, like it's like the best one or one of the best ones, like for sure, in that like I feel personally that sometimes like on a computer screen it's hard for me to like feel something in a cappella. Like sometimes it happens, but like usually it's like you got to be in the room and feel the energy of that person.
Yeah.
But I've never seen you do that live, but I like feel something and get chills from just like a YouTube video of it. You know, it's like it's insane. And so obviously I think the where you're coming from with your headspace and you know, and you're dedicating it to your mom, I think really made it. What was it like kind of like having that on display for everybody to see in that way?
Yeah. I feel like everything I talk about is a story. This is funny. But so Dog Days almost didn't happen. Dog Days was a thought that Michael Brizantine, he had this thought, like we were in bed one night and he was like, yeah, like Dog Days, like that's cool. Like it'd be cool to reimagine that. And I was like, all right. So when they were choosing songs and soloists, they said, okay, well, Lynique could be one, Mithil could be one, and a couple people, whatever. That was for 2015. And so the song came up as a suggestion. And so before FWIS, we call it FWIS, but during our spring break, we would take time out and be on campus so we could do rehearsals, like mega intense rehearsals for ICCA. And so like before FWIS, Michael had asked, hey, can I get like voice recordings of you singing these 3 songs, whatever. So I sang a couple of them, and one of them was Coming to My Head, which ended up being the one we chose. Another was Dog Days. Another was Gold Mine. Kimber's my girl. I'm seeing her tomorrow and I'm so hyped.
Nice.
But so my mom was still alive at this point. It was like the early parts of 2015. And I'm downstairs in my basement recording these joints, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that could be cool, but like I don't really think that's for me. So I go upstairs, my mom is still awake. It's late at this point. And so I'm like, hey mom, like, can you listen to these with me and see which one you think? And so I played Gold Mine. She said, oh, that's cute. That's nice. And then I played Dog Days for her, and she said, it's nice, but I don't think you're ready to sing it. And I said, okay. And then I played Coming to My Head for her. She said, oh, yeah, that's the one. She said, oh, yeah, that's the one. And so I was like, yeah, you're right. You know, one of my friends who was also in the group, his name was Brandon. He said, yeah, I could see Lynique like running around in heels, like flipping her hair, singing Coming to My Head. And that's exactly what Coming to My Head ended up being, just kind of a mosh pit of craziness. Fast forward to 2015 in November, my mom passes. And Faux asked me to rejoin, and I'm just kind of trying to make sense of my life, trying to create a new normal. And when they asked me to come back, they said, yeah, when you come back, we want you to sing a solo, obviously. I said, okay. So there were a couple songs that they had listed. The new music director was Joshua Singer, and him and Michael worked closely together. And so Josh and Michael were like, hey, let's talk about songs for Neek. And so they were like, oh, this JoJo joint was really cute, was really cute. She might like that. And I love JoJo. She's my girl. And then Michael was like, well, what about Dog Days? And so like Josh was like, okay, like why not? And so they sent it to me, and I said, I don't really want to do Dog Days. Like I talked to my mom about it, and she didn't really think that one was for me. So then kind of fast forward a bit, Michael starts arranging and uses the 2015 voice memo. So I never re-recorded that piece of the solo. I just, and I said, I don't really want to sing that one. Let's do Save My Soul. And so they were like, okay, but we're probably going to do Dog Days. And, you know, they kind of were real sly about it. So Michael is arranging this, and he when he talks to me about it now, he says, like, I'm arranging this and crying, like I'm listening to this, and it's so fitting now. And so I'm like thinking about it, I'm like, I don't really want to sing that song. Mommy didn't like it. Like, that's not the one. And when they decided, I was like, if I said, this isn't about me, this is about Faux. If it's in the best interest of Faux, do Dog Days. Like, I'm not pressed. I'll sing whatever. And so Michael's arranging, and they send this thing out. It's time for FWIS, and gave it like the whole county is hit with this major snowstorm. So I live at home at this point. I'm not living on campus, so I have no way to get to campus for FWIS. And so they have this arrangement. They have all 4 arranged songs, and their last soloist is not able to come. So I finally was able to get out of my house. My dad dug me out. He was like, yeah, you should probably go. Like, school was like, we had an extra winter break. It was crazy. And so I get to school by like the last, I think it might have been the last 2 days of FWIS. And I finally make it. And they sing the arrangement for me. And that was the first time I had heard it. And when I heard it, I was like, oh my God. I was immediately in tears. I was like, what is happening? So I'm singing it for the first time, and I was like, and I just heard my mom and saw her nodding her head, and she said, you're ready now. And it was like an overwhelming sense of like joy and peace, but also, you know, it's a huge loss. Like, that was my mother. And there are lots of things in my life that she will not now be able to physically be there for me for. But singing Dog Days became so cathartic. And I remember in the beginning not wanting to do it. And I was like, I don't really want to do it. And I was fighting with myself and fighting with Faux and fighting with Michael. And I was like, I don't really want to do this. But oftentimes we don't want to do the very things that we need to do. And so when I agreed to do it, and when I started thinking about the words of the song and thinking about how it really painted such a vivid picture of my mother's life, and painted a beautiful picture of her struggle and you know, her health kind of deteriorating, and me watching that, me and my sister watching it, and my dad watching that happen. That song just became so uplifting, and some of the literal meanings of those words didn't mean the same thing anymore. So the whole song became reinvigorated. It became this new entity. And hearing people say things like, I never heard you sing that live, but seeing you sing that on YouTube, or hearing the audio, hearing the studio version of that song really touched me. That just confirms what I didn't want to do, but what I should have done. And I'm glad I did it. It was a decision I'm glad I kind of fell into, but I made the right decision, and I really did the work. I was so depressed singing that song. And now looking back at it, coming out of that depression, that was one of the things that held me. It was so hard. And I'm surprised, like most of the times I didn't cry singing it. But it is such an intense part of my life now. And so, I mean, I want to sing other music. Like, Dog Days isn't the end of my life, obviously. I want to sing more things. But for me, that was a pivotal moment. And that came to me because of a cappella. That came to me because of Faux Paz. That came to me because, well, for me, it was God kind of orchestrating things and putting things into the right places at the right time. You know, I was like, how come I didn't get in my freshman year? But it was because I wasn't supposed to get in when I was a freshman. I was supposed to get in when I was a junior. So then I could spend that extra time. Everything is ordained and orchestrated in ways that are so beyond my capability of putting things together. We think we do so much, and I'm just like, this universe and this thing is so much bigger than us, and we really think that our little small part in the world is like, you know. Anyway, that's a whole nother joint. I'll preach another day.
Well, I mean, I just want to say, like, I just think it was just such, like, that you did it so many times, and like and put it out there in so many, in like, it's I think those words and the message of that is hard enough to say one time, let alone, you know, at a quarterfinal, at the semifinal, at the final, in front of all these different people. But just speaking for myself, I also lost a parent around that time, and just it just, you know, like, and I know I said, like, it's a quintessential, like, collegiate a cappella thing, but it's like, for me personally, it's like never really like connected with a piece of music in the way that you're able to.
Wow.
So just thank you for that. Because
wow. Thank you.
Else.
Thank you. Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. And that made me happy when you said the studio version too, because I was so nervous about that one. I was so nervous. I was so nervous about putting that out.
It jumps out of the screen for sure. Obviously, like that was a whole experience. You're also at Boss. I was finally able to see you. And you're great there.
Thank you.
Yeah, but so where have you post Faux Paz? What's kind of your life become, and then what's your journey now?
So, even past my last like big performance with Faux Paz was Boss.
Yeah.
I told him, hey guys, like if you ever need me for gigs after this, yeah, that's great. But I gotta hang up the coat. I gotta do it. I gotta do it. And I love it. I have 4 amazing solos that I can, call upon now. And that's awesome. Yeah. And it shows growth, and it makes me so happy knowing that these last 2 were impactful for different reasons, but it's awesome knowing that. Like I said, I am not in school right now, but it is my goal to be in the classroom teaching students music by the time I hit 27. That's a goal of mine. Mm-hmm. To go back to school, finish my degree, and get into the classroom and teach what it is that I love. Right now, I work at my church. I lead the youth and young adult. This is a kind of new version with younger people. Mm-hmm. I lead that praise team, and we've done a lot of work over the past 5 years, and we've gotten to a place that I'm happy with. And I'm still looking for more, without a vision, people perish. So that's a thing I'm looking for more with. I'm looking for God to expand my territory there. In terms of solo singing, people keep telling me you're too gifted not to try it. And so honestly, when people say that, I'm like, try what though? Like, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to actually go about making what do I do? Do I make a website? That's not my gift. Like, I'm the singer. Like, put me behind a mic, put me in front of a crowd. That's what I do. But marketing and doing all that stuff, not my gift. I became friends through Michael, became friends with Dave Longo and Angela Longo and AJ Marino, Alex, just a bunch of cool people. And with this a cappella community, you just get in contact with so many cool people and you get to network. And so I met a lot of cool people. And so I'm calling this thing Team Neek, where the goal is that Lynique will have a functioning website at some point where people can go through, look through some of the things that I've done. My goal is to put out some cover work. I don't have a mic. I don't have video equipment, but I can sing. So get me the mic, get me the video equipment. Somebody do all that. Let me sing. Somebody make the website. Somebody I am a part of the delegating ministry. That's what I'm good at. I can only do what I'm good at. So, that's a big part of kind of where I'm at right now. It's just trying to find out where I sit. My mom told me that I was one day going to be gifted at writing music. Right now, that's not where I'm at. And I don't know. I think it's just because I'm afraid. So I guess I should just get over myself and like start. I just feel like I have a lot of things. I have a story to tell. And so it'd be awesome to write it in the language of music. So I will write music. That's one of my goals. By the time I hit 27 as well, I want to have a plethora of music that I've written, songs that I've written. So I want to have a functioning website by the time by the end of this year. I want to have a functioning website. I want to have some more videos out. I continue to help Faux Paz in any way that I can. I'm a music education major. So I learned a lot about the voice and learned a lot about, how to help do master classes and stuff like that. I was involved in SoJam. Thank you, Shannon McNulty, for calling me on that. So I was a part of the SoJam Education Committee. I'm applying to teach at Boss, like as we speak. Right. That's the thing. Trying to figure out how to kind of funnel all of my knowledge of solo singing into a class. And so we'll figure that. I got to send this thing in at 11:59. So I have to make sure that this is nice and revised. But this actually did help. So thank you I'm glad I scheduled it for today.
Of course.
But I auditioned for June, which is a professional group that J.D. Frizzell founded with his nice team. I auditioned. I'm not going to lie. My audition was not good. But I got a call back, so that was exciting. I'm preparing to go in. I've been preparing for the past few weeks. The audition music and a couple new solos. I'm flying to Memphis literally this weekend to go and audition for the final callback for that. So pray for me, wish me luck. I'm just looking to find Lynique's little niche in the world. And once I find that, once I get into that groove, music has always spoken for me. I've always, it's been easy to open my mouth and sing. And so my goal is to get better with everything that I touch. I want to one up myself, if that makes any sense. I want to do better than the last one, regardless of what song I'm singing or what venue I'm singing or who I'm singing with. I'm excited. I don't know what's coming, and I think that's what makes it so fun is not knowing, and makes me feel so out of place sometimes. But I know that if somebody give me a mic and people sit around and listen, or even nobody to sit around and listen, I'ma sing. I sing washing the dishes. I sing cooking. So regardless, music is something that I use as an avenue. It's a way for me to express myself. So I am praying and hoping that there's a place for me. But even if it's not, I have a place teaching music, and that to me is even more important than performing. Making sure that the next generation has a say and has someone who believes in them and is telling them no one can pour out on your dreams except you. You have the key to make your dreams come true. And so I guess I should believe some of the things I say, right? Yeah. But it's awesome. I'm working on it, I gotta start working on it and actually do it. I'm the procrastination ministry. That's my ministry. Oh, what's another? Oh, Faux Paz. We made up a new thing. So it's another funny thing about Faux. Faux Paz was founded in 1993 when I was born, and so we have our 25th anniversary show that's going to be in March. And so it's funny. An alumni group was like, "Hey, let's sing some songs. Let's be like, weird and sing some music." So Faux Paz, we tried to make it a little unique. We are going to be singing some oldies but goodies at this show. So it's been exciting to go to some of those rehearsals and realize how out of shape we are of singing together. No, literally, when you haven't sung for a minute, it's like, wow, it's like a new thing. Yeah. But yeah, Faux Paz will always have a place in my heart. It makes me very happy.
You kind of answered. So we have two questions that we like to ask our guests on our show, and you kind of answered one already, which is really cool. Which is what's on the plate next for you.
Hey,
I covered that one. You already knew it was coming. You're like, overachiever. I got this. But the other one is just what sort of like trends do you see in acapella that you're excited by or happy that are happening?
I am really, really excited about this original music that's coming out of acapella. It's like kind of few and far between right now, but when you hear something that's excellent, it's like, whoa, that came from them. Like it's their words. And to be honest, like covering music is great, and having your own interpretation of music is awesome, but there is nothing like hearing someone's own words sung by that person. Or I always say that I do say this, but Dog Days was nothing without the rest of Faux. Like the solo was great, but it can't stand alone. And so lyrically, when someone has written a song and then they've arranged parts in the background, it just elevates that music even more, and it makes it so much more exciting. It makes it more of an experience. And so I love that this is happening, and I'm hoping to see more of it. I just think that some of these a cappella groups, some of these people, like they're not just musicians, but they are humans, and so they have things that they're experiencing, and they have lives, they have romances and heartbreaks and losses and so many different things that we experience as life happens. They have stories to tell, and it's so cool to have those stories told through music. It's amazing, and so I'm really enjoying hearing some of the original music that's coming out of a cappella right now, and I hope that continues on and up, because I think that's unbelievably exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Lynique,
Thank you.
talking to us. It's we just have wanted your story to be a thing that people can hear in this way, so I'm really happy that we made it happen.
I'm so happy, without a mic too. Like, I'm so pressed.
No mics are necessary.
No mics, man.
Who needs them?
That's what I'm saying.
We hope. Yeah. Well, thanks.
As we're talking into our fan.
Oh my God! Are you okay? Are you hurt? No, you're not hurt. Okay, I can laugh
This is
now.
real life. I fell off my chair.
Oh God!
I fell off my chair. Tune
you
in
good?
next week for a new
Straight?
episode of
You
That
alright?
Voice.
Literally nothing.
You should totally keep that in.
Without you.